3, 2, 1.
Hi, Sam here again from Pop Running Form. Today I wanted to build on running technique and give you guys some things to think about when you're running in terms of some prompts that you can use to correct your posture and keep you running with less overstride and more power from the glutes. So I've got an acronym called Tablespoon, and so that spells TABSP. That's how it's spelled. And so abbreviation of tablespoon. And so let me run through what all those things mean. So T is for tall. So as you'll hear me talking about with the posture, tall is being nice and tall with a nice neutral spine. So what we do, hand on the belly button, hand on the sternum, draw them apart so we have our chest puffed out, and then we're nice and tall, okay? And we want to continue that with our neck, keep our neck neutral. I often see people when they correct this, then they're going like this because they're used to being like this, so then their neck's pointing up. So you want to have your head neutral too, so you're looking directly ahead. So pick a point, 10 meters in front of you and look at that and try and look directly straight rather than down your nose. And the opposite would be, obviously looking up like this. So nice and tall. Then the next thing is your arms, okay? So A for arms, you want to have your arms up and back. Think about trying to have your hands at nipple height and your arms drawn back like this. Think potentially chicken wings. And that enables you to have this short lever so you can pump your arms really quick and more efficiently. If you have a long lever like this, then it's much less efficient. And the other advantage, you might hear, for example, Seth DeMoore talking about putting your shoulders in your pockets. That's a good way to think about it, because what it does is it keeps your chest open, and that enables you to have better airways, so you get more oxygen through your system, but it also keeps your body weight aligned over your hips. So yeah, having your arms back has multiple reasons, and also you can use them to set the cadence, okay? So cadence, another thing that I'll touch on later. The B is for your butt, okay? So with your butt, you want to have your bum muscles active. So you want to have an active core, active bum. And the way you achieve that is by leveling your hips. So a lot of us have this anterior pelvic tilt where our bum is poking out and our hips are tilted forward, and that puts our weight backwards, which we don't want. So if you put a hand below your stomach and a hand on your lower back and you just level it like this, then your hips are level, and you should be able to feel that you can engage your bum muscles, your glutes, glute max, better that way. And it means that you're better aligned, and so that you can have this whole body lean rather than being bent at the waist. And that's how you get your acceleration, okay? So you want to have your bum tucked in, you want to be able to feel your glutes activating, okay? So that's B for your butt. And then S is for string from your belly button. So I use this prompt, which I think I may have gotten from Sage Canaday. He has got some really good running form videos. But this prompt is a string pulling you from your belly button. And what that does is it makes you think about leading with your hips, okay? So you can have a whole body lean, but you should always have your hips leading your feet, and that stops the overstriding. And if you think about this string from the belly button pulling you forward like this, then what it does is it tightens up your core, keeps you a bit more active in the core, and keeps your bum tucked in a bit so you can get those glutes active. You want this whole trunk to be strong, because that's when you'll be able to get the power, because all the power should come from here, right? And that happens when you've got a strong core and you've got your hips engaged, your glutes engaged. And so you get this motion pulling you forward. So that's really useful to think about. So that was S for string. And then the final one is P, which is pop. So popping is from the glutes. So you would have seen in the previous video I did about walking, that when you do the pop, it's just getting this little bit of air from one step to the next. So instead of just walking like the swagger approach, you just add this little bit of pop and you get air time, okay? And the air comes from landing a little bit harder, so your foot comes down that little faster and you rebound off of it, so you get that elastic energy off of your foot as it comes down. And then the other thing is you can drive, so you've got that counter rotation going on. So that enables you to drive that foot back a bit and get that little bit longer stride, okay? So you combine those two things, then you get that popping action, which gets you further and it gets all the power coming from the glutes. So what we're really aiming for is getting the power from the glutes, because because we're not landing behind our foot here, we're not overworking the quads. So our quads become just the stabilizing muscles, which they're supposed to be. They're not supposed to be a powerhouse for your running. They're just supposed to be stabilizing muscles, right? And the power is coming from your backside, okay? So when you get the power from your backside, the great thing about your glutes is they're big. They're the biggest muscle in the body. That's why they're called the glute max. And they're also very fatigue resistant. There's a lot of slow twitch muscle fibers in there, and they go all day. And so you can run for a long time without getting fatigued glutes. Whereas many people have experienced getting very tired quads very quickly, especially when you're new to running. But even like more experienced runners doing marathons or whatever, they'll get very sore quads. Running downhills, for example, that's a topic for another video. But when you're using your glutes, that's not the same thing, because they're designed for this. So you can go for a lot longer, you get a lot more endurance, a lot better recovery, and that's the sort of thing I hear from people who I've taught all the time. So that was the last one, so P for pop. And so let me run through those all one more time. So T is for tall, so nice tall extended spine. A is for arms, so arms up and back, pumping your arms like this. And B is for butt, so butt engaged and level. S is for string, so a string pulling you forward from your belly button. And P is for pop, so getting that little extra bit of pop from your backside with each step, so that you're getting the power in your running. And that's really it. The last side note is cadence. So I've talked before about how you can experiment with the length of your stride behind you. So you can have a longer stride like this, or you can have a shorter stride like this. And what the difference will be is if as long as you're not overstriding, for the same pace, you'll have a higher or lower cadence. And generally what we find is that the most efficient is to be over 170, and reaching 180 for most people seems to be the most efficient. Because you get more elastic energy, so each step as you land on your foot, your body loads up and then you get that energy back, because the tendons and muscles will return that energy. So the more steps you take, the more elastic energy you're using, and the less you're having to push in with your muscles. So generally a higher cadence up to a point is more efficient. So that's why I would generally recommend whatever the cadence you start with is, try not to overstride first, and then second, try to reduce the step length and increase the cadence. So if you're used to running at 155, improve it to say 160, 165, and so on until you get to the 170, 180 range. And that's it. So give it a go. Let me know what you think in the comments. If anything didn't make sense to you, please let me know and I'll try and clarify. Let me know how you go with it. Welcome your feedback. And please subscribe for more videos.